You've been taught that strength means never breaking, that resilience means enduring without flinching, that the strongest men are the ones who never crack under pressure. This is a lie. The samurai understood something modern men have forgotten. True strength isn't about never breaking. It's about building a mind so immovable that pressure itself becomes irrelevant. Not because you're numb to it, but because you've trained yourself to remain steady in the center of the storm. They called it Fudishin, the immovable mind. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman who ever lived, wrote, "The spirit must remain unmoved while the body moves." He didn't mean suppressing emotion. He meant training the mind to function at peak capacity regardless of external chaos. Modern men collapse under far less pressure than what samurai face daily. A difficult conversation shatters your composure. A high-stakes presentation turns you into a nervous wreck. A conflict with someone you care about leaves you emotionally wrecked for days. Your mind is movable, shakeable, fragile, and you know it. You feel it every time. Pressure reveals who you actually are versus who you pretend to be. But here's what the samurai discovered through centuries of warfare and meditation. The mind can be forged systematically through specific training protocols that transform psychological fragility into unbreakable mental architecture. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is method, tested in combat, refined through generations, validated by modern neuroscience. The question is, are you ready to build an immovable mind? Or will you continue pretending that your mental weakness is normal? The awakening Takai sat in the conference room, surrounded by 12 executives who controlled a $400 million decision. His presentation was flawless. 6 months of work, every slide perfect, every projection backed by data. So, Takeshi, the CEO, leaned forward. What happens if your projections are wrong? If we invest this capital and your model fails? A simple question, a reasonable question. Takeshi's heart hammered against his ribs. His mouth went dry. His mind, so clear 30 seconds ago, went completely blank. The data supports. Words tumbled out incoherently. His hands shook. Sweat beaded on his forehead. He watched himself fail in real time. Watched the executives exchange glances. Watched respect drain from the room. "Let's take a break," the CEO said quietly, 29 years old, vice president at a tech firm, Harvard MBA, every external marker of success. And he just collapsed under a single challenging question. This wasn't the first time. 3 months ago, investment pitched to venture capitalists. He froze mid-sentence. Couldn't recover. They passed. 6 months ago, performance review with his own team. One employee challenged his decision. Takeshi became defensive, emotional, lost control of the meeting. A year ago, his girlfriend asked a hard question about their future. He shut down completely. She left 2 weeks later. The pattern was undeniable. When pressure increased, Takeshi decreased. His competence evaporated. His composure shattered. He became someone else, someone weak, reactive, emotionally fragile. That night, he sat in his apartment, staring at his reflection. A successful man who couldn't handle success. A leader who crumbled when leadership mattered most. His phone rang. His mother, "Takeshi, your grandfather's estate is finalized. There are some items he left for you. Can you come by this weekend?" His grandfather, Dlichi, had died 3 months ago at 93. A quiet man, former businessman. Takeshi barely knew him. His grandfather had always been distant, formal, unreadable. Saturday morning, his mother handed him a wooden box. He specified, "This goes to you." He said you'd know when you needed it. Inside, a journal, worn leather, pages yellowed with age, written in Japanese which Takeshi could read, though his grandfather never knew that. The first entry, day 1 of Shugyo. "I begin training Fudishin." Takeshi flipped through the pages. Detailed entries spanning 3 years. Training protocols, meditation practices, pressure exercises. His grandfather had been a practitioner of samurai disciplines. One passage stopped him. "Today, I failed again. My mind moved when it should have remained still." The master says, "A man who breaks under pressure is not weak. He is simply untrained." Train the mind like you train the body. Through systematic stress, through deliberate discomfort, Through facing what you fear until fear becomes irrelevant, Takeshi read until sunrise. His grandfather had been exactly like him, successful externally, fragile internally, until he discovered Futushin training at age 35. The final entry, dated 40 years later, "My mind is now immovable, not because nothing affects me, but because I've built the architecture to remain steady regardless of what affects me. This is the gift I leave my grandson." Monday morning, Takeshi didn't go to work. He went to the library, started researching Futushin, Miyamoto Musashi, samurai mental training. The question formed clearly in his mind. Could he build what his grandfather had built? He decided to find out. The Principal Miyamoto Musashi was 29 years old when he fought his 60th duel. He faced Sasaki Kajiro, considered the greatest swordsman in Japan. Before 60 witnesses, they would fight to the death. Musashi arrived late. Deliberately, he carved a wooden sword from an oar on the boat ride over. When he finally stepped onto the beach, Kajiro was furious, his composure shattered by the weight. The fight lasted seconds. Musashi killed him with a single strike. Later, Musashi wrote, "I won before I drew my sword." His mind moved. Mine did not. This is Futushin, the immovable mind. Not emotional suppression, not stoic detachment, but trained psychological stability that operates independently of external chaos. The samurai discovered something modern psychology is only now confirming. The mind under pressure is different from the mind at rest, and most men only train the mind at rest. When a samurai entered combat, his life depended on decision-making, while his amygdala screamed danger signals, while his body flooded with adrenaline, while chaos erupted around him. The untrained mind collapses. The trained mind operates. They develop systematic training protocols, Shugyo austere training, deliberate exposure to progressively intense stressors, not to become numb, but to expand capacity. Zazen under duress meditation while physically uncomfortable, training the mind to remain still while the body experiences distress. Kiai practice vocal exercises that train composure while expressing intensity, learning to act powerfully without losing center. Controlled breathing in chaos, maintaining specific breathing patterns during intense physical exertion, training the nervous system to regulate under stress. The genius was understanding that mental strength isn't inherent, it's built. Through specific, progressive training, Takeshi found a teacher. Master Yoshida ran a small dojo in Oakland, teaching traditional Zen and martial practices. He was 72, former businessman. He trained under Takeshi's grandfather 40 years ago. "Your grandfather was the weakest student I ever taught," Yoshida said during their first meeting. Emotionally fragile, mentally unstable under any pressure. He couldn't meditate for 5 minutes without his mind shattering into chaos. What changed? He stopped trying to be strong, started training to become strong. "There's a difference," Yoshida explained. "Modern men approach mental training backwards. They wait until pressure hits, then try to handle it. That's like trying to build muscle during the competition. The samurai trained specifically for pressure. They created it artificially, systematically exposed themselves to progressive stress loads, built their capacity gradually, methodically. Futushin isn't a state you achieve once," Yoshida said. "It's architecture you build, layer by layer, until your mind has the structural integrity to remain immovable regardless of external force." Takeshi began training the next day. The test week 1, day 1, morning meditation. Simple instruction: sit for 20 minutes. Focus on breath. Takeshi lasted 4 minutes before his mind scattered completely. Thoughts of the failed presentation, anxiety about work, self-judgment about not being able to sit still. Day 2, same result. Mental chaos after 3 minutes. Day 3, Yoshida added the first stressor. Today, meditate while I ring this bell randomly. Loud, unpredictable. Your job, remain focused regardless. The first bell made Takeshi jump. His concentration shattered. By the 10th bell, he was irritated, reactive, completely out of center. "Good," Yoshida said. "Now you know your baseline. Your mind moves easily. We train it not to." Week 2, meditation with physical discomfort. Seize a position kneeling. weight on legs. After 5 minutes, pain started. After 10, it was intense. Takeshi's mind became consumed by the discomfort. He couldn't maintain focus, couldn't stay present. The pain hijacked his attention completely. This is the training, Yoshida explained. In combat, a samurai feels pain, feels fear. The question is, can your mind remain functional while your body experiences distress? Most men, no trained men. Yes. Week 3. Meditation while standing in horse stance. Thighs burning within minutes. Yoshida walking around him, occasionally pushing his shoulder to test stability. Takeshi fell out of stance. Reset. Fell again. Reset. His mind was pure chaos, frustration, self-judgment, the overwhelming urge to quit. But something was changing. Week 4. Day 27. During horse stance meditation, something shifted. The pain was still there. The difficulty remained. But for 30 seconds, Takeshi's mind didn't move with it. He observed the pain without being consumed by it, maintained focus despite it. It lasted only 30 seconds, but it was proof of concept. His mind could be trained to remain still while his body experienced stress. This was the beginning of Futishin, warrior psychology. Dr. Andrew Huberman's research at Stanford reveals what the samurai knew intuitively. The nervous system can be trained to regulate under stress. When you experience pressure, your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, triggers your sympathetic nervous system. Heart rate spikes. Breathing becomes shallow. Prefrontal cortex function decreases. You become reactive instead of responsive. This is the amygdala hijack. And for most men, it's automatic and uncontrollable. But here's what neuroscience confirms. You can train your vagus nerve, the biological mechanism that calms your nervous system, to activate even during stress. Through specific practices, through progressive exposure. This is exactly what samurai Futishin training does. When Takeshi meditated under duress, he was training his nervous system to remain in parasympathetic activation, calm, focused state, while sympathetic activation, stress response, occurred simultaneously. Dr. Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory explains this. The nervous system has multiple pathways. With training, you can activate the ventral vagal pathway, the one associated with social engagement and calm focus, even when the threat pathway is triggered. Samurai discovered this through trial and error. Modern science validates it through measurement. The training protocol works like this. Phase 1. Baseline establishment. Learn what centered feels like without stress. Phase 2. Introduce mild stressors. Train the mind to maintain center despite minor disturbance. Phase 3. Progressive stress loading. Gradually increase intensity while maintaining the same quality of mental stability. Phase 4. Real-world testing. Apply trained capacity to actual high-pressure situations. Phase 5. Integration. The trained response becomes automatic. Research from the US military on stress inoculation training confirms this approach. Navy SEALs, for example, train in progressively chaotic environments specifically to build psychological resilience. Their training philosophy mirrors samurai Futishin protocols almost exactly. What's crucial to understand? This isn't about becoming emotionless. Samurai felt fear, they experienced stress, but they trained their minds to function optimally despite those experiences. Takeshi was learning the difference between emotional suppression, which creates brittleness, and emotional regulation, which creates strength. By week 8, his heart rate variability, a measure of nervous system flexibility, had increased by 34%. His resting heart rate dropped. His recovery from stress improved dramatically. His mind was being rebuilt, architecturally, neurologically, not through willpower, through systematic training. The ancient method and modern science were saying the same thing. The mind can be forged into something unbreakable. The first transformation. Month 3. Day 87. Takeshi returned to work. His CEO called him in. We're doing the presentation again. Same investors. Next week. Are you ready? The old Takeshi would have felt panic. The trained Takeshi felt something different. Calm, awareness of challenge. Yes, the week before the presentation, Takeshi trained specifically for it. Yoshida created simulation scenarios, high-pressure questions, unexpected challenges, deliberate attempts to throw Takeshi off balance. The training was brutal, but Takeshi's mind remained increasingly stable. Presentation day. Same conference room. Same executives. Same high stakes. The CEO asked the same question. What happens if your projections are wrong? Takeshi felt his heart rate increase, felt the familiar stress response beginning, but his mind didn't move with it. He took a controlled breath. 3 seconds in, 4 seconds out. Vagal activation. Then spoke. If the projections are wrong, we have 3 contingency protocols built in. Let me show you exactly how we de-risked each scenario. Clear, steady, competent. The meeting continued. Challenging questions came. Takeshi answered each one from a place of centered clarity, not defensive, not reactive, present and responsive. 2 hours later, they approved the full investment. After the meeting, his CEO pulled him aside. What changed? I trained for this. Specifically, deliberately. Whatever you did, keep doing it. That was a different person than 3 months ago. It was a different person, because he built different psychological architecture. That evening, Takeshi tested himself further. He called his ex-girlfriend, Sarah. I owe you an apology. When you asked me about our future, I shut down. I couldn't handle the pressure of that conversation. I wasn't ready. I'm different now. I'm not asking to get back together. I'm asking for a chance to have the conversation I should have had. They met for coffee. She asked hard questions. Questions about commitment, about vulnerability, about what he actually wanted. The old Takeshi would have deflected, shut down, become emotionally unavailable. The trained Takeshi remained present, answered honestly, stayed in the discomfort without collapsing. You are different, Sarah said finally. I don't know what you did, but something fundamental changed. What changed was his mind. It had been trained to remain immovable, not rigid, not closed, but steady, stable, unshakable. This was the first real-world validation of Futushin training. Deep Training Arc Month 6. Yoshida introduced advanced practices. You've built basic stability. Now, we build immovability. These practices will take you deeper than most men. Go. Practice 1. Isogi purification through cold water immersion. Takeshi began standing under freezing water for progressively longer periods, training his mind to remain calm while his body experienced extreme discomfort. The first session lasted 15 seconds before his mind shattered. By week 3, he maintained mental clarity for 3 minutes in ice-cold water. Practice 2. Uso extended meditation in challenging environments. Takeshi meditated in crowded spaces, loud environments, deliberately chaotic situations, training his mind to find stillness regardless of external conditions. Practice 3. Kakugo mental preparation for worst-case scenario. Each morning, Takeshi spent 15 minutes deliberately contemplating and accepting potential failures, rejections, losses. Not catastrophizing, accepting, training his mind to remain stable even when imagining difficult outcomes. This practice was particularly powerful. Most men avoid thinking about potential failures. Samurai did the opposite. They faced those thoughts daily until the thoughts lost their power to disturb. If you've been searching for this kind of transformation, the way it rebuilt Takeshi's psychological foundation from fragile to unbreakable, join the Inner Samurai community. Subscribe to The Inner Samurai and walk this path with us as we explore the ancient warrior, wisdom that forges mental armor in modern men. Month 8. Yoshida arranged the ultimate test. You'll face me in Kumite full contact sparring. I'm 72, you're 29, you're stronger, faster, but I have Futushin. Let's see if you've built yours. They faced each other. Yoshida moved first, fast, precise. Decades of experience in every motion. He struck Takeshi's ribs hard. Pain exploded through his torso. The old Takeshi would have reacted emotionally, gotten angry, lost composure. The trained Takeshi breathed, remained centered, responded rather than reacted. The sparring continued for 3 rounds. Yoshida landed strikes, Takeshi took damage, but his mind never moved. He stayed present, calm, responsive. After the final round, Yoshida bowed deeply. You have it now. Feudation, not complete, that takes decades. But the foundation is built. Your mind is becoming immovable. Takeshi felt it. Not pride, not excitement, just quiet certainty. He'd built something real, something that couldn't be taken away. Psychological architecture that would serve him for life. This was what his grandfather had left him. Not the journal, the path. The final confrontation. Month 10. The real test arrived unexpectedly. Company restructuring. Takeshi's position eliminated. The entire project he'd spent 3 years building shut down. 27 people on his team laid off. A career-ending catastrophe. The CEO called him in personally. I'm sorry, Takeshi. Board decision. Nothing I could do. Your severance package will be generous, but this is final. 10 months ago, this would have destroyed him. Sent him into a spiral of self-doubt, anxiety, rage. Now, Takeshi felt the emotional impact: disappointment, anger, and certainty. But his mind remained steady beneath those feelings. I understand. What's the timeline? 30 days. Takeshi spent the next week processing, not suppressing. Processing. He felt the anger, acknowledged the fear, but his mind didn't fragment, didn't become consumed, remained fundamentally stable while emotions moved through. This is the ultimate demonstration of feudation, the absence of emotional response, but the maintenance of mental clarity despite emotional turbulence. Week 2. Instead of desperately applying to similar positions, Takeshi did something different. He evaluated clearly. Did he actually want to continue in corporate tech? Or had he been on autopilot? His immovable mind allowed honest self-assessment. The answer was clear. Oh, he wanted something different. He just hadn't had the mental stability to face that truth before. Week 3. He started his own consulting practice, teaching executives the principles he'd learned. Mental resilience training, feudation protocols adapted for modern business leaders. His first client, his former CEO. Teach me what you learned. Whatever you did, I need it. Everyone on the executive team needs it. We're all running on anxiety and stress reactions. You're the only person I've seen actually transform. 6 months later, Takeshi's practice had 12 corporate clients. He taught feudation principles to leaders across industries. The demand was overwhelming. Men everywhere were psychologically fragile, desperate for training, but unaware such training existed. The catastrophic job loss had become the catalyst for his actual calling. This only happened because his mind remained immovable through the crisis. Because he'd built the psychological architecture to respond rather than react. To see clearly instead of collapsing into fear. A year after finding his grandfather's journal, Takeshi visited Yoshida. I want to show you something, Takeshi said. He brought his own journal, entries from the past 12 months, training logs, challenges faced, transformations documented. Yoshida read silently. Finally, you've become unbreakable, not because nothing affects you, but because you've built a mind that remains steady regardless of what affects you. Your grandfather would be proud. I am proud. What's next? Takeshi asked. Now you teach. Pass this forward. That's the warrior tradition. You train yourself, then you train others. This is how feudation survives across generations. The warrior truth. Years later, Takeshi opened his own dojo, not a martial arts school, a mental training center, teaching feudation protocols to men who recognized their psychological fragility and wanted to transform it. His first student was a 34-year-old attorney named Marcus. Successful, anxious, collapsing, under pressure. I heard you teach people to become mentally unbreakable, Marcus said during their first meeting. I need that. I don't know if it's possible, but I need it. Takeshi saw himself 2 years ago in Marcus's eyes. The desperation, the recognition that success means nothing if you can't handle the pressure success creates. It's possible, but it requires training. Specific, systematic, progressive training. Are you willing to do the work? What does the work look like? Deliberately uncomfortable. You'll meditate under stress. Train your nervous system through progressive exposure. Face the things that make your mind move until they no longer move your mind. It's not quick. It's not easy, but it works. Marcus nodded. When do we start? Tomorrow? Bring a journal. Takeshi taught Marcus exactly what Yoshida taught him. The ancient protocols, the progressive exposure, the systematic building of psychological architecture. 3 months in, Marcus reported his first breakthrough. I had a deposition yesterday, the kind that would have destroyed me 6 months ago. Aggressive opposing counsel, high stakes. I felt the stress response beginning, heart rate increasing, thoughts starting to scatter. But I did what you taught. Controlled breathing, anchored attention. My mind stayed steady. I performed better under pressure than I've ever performed. This is real. This is what Takeshi had discovered. Futushin isn't mystical. It's trainable, measurable, repeatable. The samurai weren't superhuman. They were systematically trained humans. And their training methods work just as well now as they did 4 centuries ago. Over the next 5 years, Takeshi trained 247 men, executives, athletes, veterans, entrepreneurs, men from every background united by one recognition. Their minds were movable, and they wanted to build something immovable. The results were consistent. Not perfect. Some men didn't complete the training. Some gave up when it got difficult. But the men who stayed, who did the actual work, transformed. On the 10-year anniversary of finding his grandfather's journal, Takeshi received a package. Inside, a letter from his grandmother, who'd passed away the previous year. My beloved Takeshi, your grandfather asked me to give you this when I felt you were ready. He said you would know what to do with it. Attached, his grandfather's original training journals, not the one Takeshi had been given. The complete set, 20 volumes, 40 years of practice, every technique, every insight, every failure and breakthrough. The final entry, written 1 week before his grandfather's death. I built an immovable mind, not because I was special, but because I trained specifically for it. I pass this to Takeshi, knowing he'll understand what I spent 4 decades learning. The mind is forgeable. Pressure is the hammer. Time is the anvil. And the man who trains deliberately becomes unbreakable. Not because nothing affects him, but because he's built the architecture to remain steady regardless of what affects him. This is Futushin. This is the warrior's gift. This is eternal. Takeshi placed the journals in his dojo library, available to any student serious enough to study them. The tradition continues. The training perpetuates. The discipline builds unbreakable men, one mind at a time. You now understand what most men never learn. Psychological strength isn't genetic. It's not luck. It's architecture built through specific training. The samurai knew this. They created systematic protocols to forge immovable minds. Not through motivational thinking, through deliberate, progressive stress exposure, through training the nervous system, through building mental structures that remain stable under pressure. You face pressure daily, difficult conversations, high-stakes decisions, uncertain futures. Your mind either remains steady or it doesn't. Right now, for most men, it doesn't, but it can be trained to. Futushin, the immovable mind, is available to you, not through reading about it, through training it, through doing the actual work. Start where Takeshi started, 20 minutes of meditation daily. Add progressive stressors. Train your mind to remain functional while your body experiences discomfort. Build systematically, layer by layer. The men who do this work transform. The men who theorize about it remain fragile. Which will you be? If you're serious about this path, subscribe to this channel. We explore these ancient warrior disciplines in depth. We provide the methods, not just the philosophy. We build men who cannot be shaken. The samurai understood. An unbreakable mind is built, not born. The question is whether you're willing to do the building. Your mind is currently movable. Pressure reveals this daily. You can continue pretending that's normal, or you can train it to become immovable. The forge is open. The method is proven. The choice is yours. Build yourself into something unbreakable.